Welcome to the New Money Habits Podcast, where we talk about how to create a better plan for your money so you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. Here are your hosts, Sarah Jones and Nino Villa.
Welcome back, Budgeteers. Coach Nino Villa here, and alongside of me, my partner on the airways as always, Sarah Jones. And if you guys have been listening to the podcast for any amount of time, you know that Sarah is a full-time RVer. So we're going to check in and see where in the country is Sarah Jones.
Hi, Nino. Hey, everyone. Well, as of the time that we're recording this, my husband and I, are in Alabama, close to Gulf Shores. So we've been here about 2 weeks, and I think we'll be here another couple of weeks, but Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Very cool. Well, I hope you're having a glorious day. I know that it is hot and sunny in Phoenix. Hopefully it's a little cooler where you are.
You know, it is a little cooler, but the humidity is crazy. It's, I don't know, about 92, 93 degrees here, but like 86% humidity. And actually right before this, I took some time. I call it a little bit of self-care. And I got outside and went to read. But as I got outside with my book, I noticed my eyes were getting a little bit heavy. And so I thought, you know what, this is like perfect napping weather out here for me. And so I just reclined my chair and closed my eyes for a few minutes. And I know a lot of people think that that's insane. My husband is one of them. He can be found inside in the air conditioning most of the time. But I enjoy the heat and being outside. So I said it was perfect sleeping weather when I came back in, and he just looks and laughs at me. So I'm a rare breed, I think.
Hilarious. It sounds amazing, though. Getting a little power nap outside in the middle of the day. Very cool. Well, for anybody who's been listening over the last few weeks, we have just kind of wrapped up a series of episodes where we were talking about 3 keys to better money management. And we said that we believe that the first key to better money management is education, because you have a right to know. We think that the second key to better money management is having a plan that's customized to you and your goals, and that's easy to follow. And the third key to better money management is having a partner. And we talked about the difference between having like just your spouse be your partner, or having a family or friend be an accountability partner, and truly having like a partner, an objective third-party financial coach, kind of taking this journey with you. Well, when we were talking about having a plan, we also think that there are 3 keys to a better plan. So we talked about the importance of it being customized and easy to follow. But today, we want to share the first of those 3 keys to just how do you have a better plan for your money. And so key number 1 in having a better plan for your money is to manage your income or budgets. As you know, basically it's about having a budget, but it's about managing that money according to your pay periods. So often we hear about managing your monthly budget, but we don't quite teach budgeting that way, do we, Sarah?
No, and I think that this is kind of one of those areas that a lot of people get stuck in. The only, in my experience, the only way putting together a budget from, day 1 to day 30 or 31 of the month, and having just your budget fill in that exact month as if you're paid monthly on the first day of the month. right? That's the only time that an actual monthly budget works. Otherwise, you really need to plan according to your pay periods. And I think this is just an area that a lot of people get stuck in. And I'm hoping today, Nino, that we can break it down in a way that clears things up and just clarifies for people. Because I think, quite frankly, I think we just make it too complicated when we're trying to do this. We're trying to look at a month, but my pay periods are over here or not until there. So let's clear it up for everybody today and break it down in a way that is simple, easy to follow method instead of just the one size fits all plan according to the month.
Yeah, let's try to keep it as simple as possible. I will start the conversation by telling you that you can visit the New Money Habits website, and on the website you can download our free budget worksheet, which actually guides you in doing exactly what Sarah and I are going to discuss today, and that is breaking your pay down by pay periods. Sarah, you said something earlier that is 100% true. A monthly budget works great for somebody who is paid on the first of every month because the income's coming in, you're going to pay the bills for the month, whether you do that all at once or closer to those due dates, and that's simple. The problem is most of us are not paid simply once a month. Lots of people are paid bi-weekly. Plenty of people are paid weekly. And if you're kind of self-employed, unless you've listened to us talk about a consistent and predictable income, you might have income coming in all throughout the month. So as we talk today, we're going to base it off of the idea that somebody's paid bi-weekly, but the same principles apply to anybody who's paid weekly or on the 1st and the 15th of the month, etc. So I think the first thing that's important for everybody to know is that you're going to want to sit down before the end of one month to map out the next month. So at the time of this recording, the month is July. And so before the end of the month of July, you want to sit down and you want to plan August's budget. And you want to look at your pay periods in that month. So, for example, let's say you get paid on the 5th and the 19th of August. So you're going to just start your budget with income coming in on the 5th and income coming in on the 19th. Pretty simple so far, right, Sarah?
It is. And one thing that I would add into that is that when you're planning for August, if you're getting paid on the 5th, you probably are also getting paid on the 22nd of July, right? And so that's always a number that I'm keeping track of as well, because some of those dollars are going to carry over into that first week, right? And so it's just about, and I think, and I would even encourage people to not necessarily look at a month in terms of July or August. I a lot of times have people take a blank calendar form and just put, okay, let's put the 22nd of July on there as payday, and what bills are those covering, right? Which will then take us into August, and then August 5th, now what bills are those covering? I think it's exactly what you said. I'm just bringing it back so we cover that first week in August in our planning, so we know how those first weeks of, that first week of bills in August is getting paid. But I'd encourage people to kind of almost take the month out of the equation and just look at your pay period and what days are everything due. Sometimes it's helpful for people to just take it those 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I would agree with you that I would much rather somebody kind of be looking at this every 2 weeks, but at the same time, you kind of made a point that I want to circle back to, and that is I want to highlight the flaw. I want to highlight the flaw in when you're looking at the month of August and you're just thinking of income coming in and outgoing going out. Because if you're just looking at the month of August, well, you're probably thinking about August 1st's rent or mortgage, but you didn't get paid until August 5th. So are you paying your rent or mortgage late? Are you paying your rent or mortgage with the month prior? And so this is where it kind of starts to break down, which is why I wanted to start with, let's just identify the pay periods. But to your point, let's really work with inside those pay periods. So when you're looking at August 5th and August 19th as examples of when you're getting paid in August, well, you shouldn't wait until you get income in August to pay August 1st rent or mortgage. So just the same, when you're planning August, you're not really planning for August's rent or mortgage, you're actually planning for September's. And so whether that is you can afford the whole thing with the second check on the 19th, or whether you're splitting it up between the two pay periods, you're using those pay periods to look forward and determine what's coming due. Because again, if you get paid on the 19th, then you're not getting paid again until September 2nd, which I know is just one day off from September 1st, but you don't want to get into the habit of paying your rent or mortgage late. So really you're looking at those two pay periods and asking yourself, what's coming up that I need to be paying for?
I love that. I love that, Nino. And I'll just give my own example, if you don't mind, that I am self-employed. So I do choose the days that I pay myself, but I pay myself on the 10th and the 25th of each month. Those are the days that I pay myself. And so my budget, right, for July, for example, since the 10th was on a Sunday, I paid myself the Friday beforehand just so the money was in my account on a working a business day. So I knew that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So my budget, that paycheck, right? I know what bills that paycheck is covering in the month of July until the 25th, right? And so I know, okay, I've got car insurance, I've got renter's insurance, I've got groceries, we've got gas for the vehicle, we fill our cash envelopes, right? And so I know what's coming out and what's being paid out of that check. And then when I get paid again on the 25th, which happens to be a Monday, I'll know, okay, and my situation's maybe a little bit different in that because we are full-timers, I don't necessarily have rent or mortgage due on the 1st, but we will be moving at the end of July. And so I know that I need to hold back then out of the check on the 25th, whatever our rent for the next place that we're going, right? So how much are we going to have to pay for our next stop or our next couple of stops, right? So it carries us over, and that paycheck on the 25th carries and pays all the bills until the 10th of August, right? And so I hope that wasn't confusing, but it's about looking ahead, as you said, right? Really looking ahead at what is this pay period, what are the dates that the pay period is covering, not necessarily what month does it fall in.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? It's not because like we just outlined, if you get paid every 2 weeks and you get paid on July 22nd, well, you're not getting paid again until August 5th. And so there's probably some end of the month bills coming due, but there's also beginning of the next month bills coming due. And so if you're only ever focused on the income coming in the month of August and the going out in the month of August, you're really missing an opportunity to fine tune your budget, your money plan, and reduce some stress and anxiety that comes with like not getting paid until the 5th and thinking about being 5 days late on rent. You know, am I going to get a call from the landlord or whatever? Well, if you're always actually planning ahead, like truly ahead with dollars that are coming in July for expenses that are going to be coming due in early August, well, now you start to reduce the stress and anxiety around, being late on early month bills.
And you know what? Where I've seen this too affect people, Nino, in the lot of people that I'm coaching is they get to the end of the month, and I'll just use this example. We'll say the 29th because it's the last Friday of July, and they got paid on the 22nd, and they're thinking, "Gosh, I've got a lot of extra money. I can make my extra debt payment," without looking ahead, right? Without looking and realizing, wait. I have my mortgage due on the 1st. I have kids' tuition due on the 1st. And I just made an extra payment to debt because I thought I had all this extra money in July. And they weren't actually looking forward to the next pay period. They were just looking at the days of the month. And so that's where it becomes really powerful, like you said, to truly be planning ahead and looking, what is this paycheck? What is it really covering? What are its responsibilities and its duties? Where do these dollars really need to go?
Yeah. And you just brought up a really good point for the argument of in those months that people who are paid biweekly get 3 checks. So July might have been that for some people. If you are paid biweekly, but on the other dates in July, you got a paycheck on July 1st, you got a paycheck on July 15th, and you're going to get a paycheck on July 29th. And so you think, well, I have all this extra money in the month of July. And the truth is, not like you do, you definitely have some extra money, but not as much as you think, because if you build out your plan according to every time you get paid instead of just the month, well, then you know that every 2 weeks, I'll give this example for my family. Every 2 weeks, we need $300 to go shopping for groceries. It's not that I only need $600 a month, because sometimes there's 28 days in a month, sometimes there's 31 days in a month. So it's not about that. I know that every 14 days, I need $300 to buy groceries for the family. And so a month like July, when you get 3 paychecks, it seems like you have all this extra money because maybe you only budget $600 a month for food, but you got these 3 checks, so you're like, oh, there's this extra $300, and it's like, no, you probably need that $300 for food still, instead of making that extra debt payment, as like the example that you gave.
Sure, and even to go along with that, if July was one of the months that you received 3 paychecks, that paycheck on the 29th, or excuse me, the paycheck on the 29th, you won't receive another paycheck until August 12th. So there's a full 12 days in August of bills, right? Of groceries, of gas, of, subscriptions, of all of these things that's what that check on the 29th is covering. Right. So it's not extra money in that month. It's taking care of 2 weeks worth of bills and expenses for your household. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so it was actually working through trying to put a budget together for myself so many years ago and being paid biweekly that I realized doing this only by the month is not serving me well at all. It was leaving potholes and just areas for mistakes. So I made this shift, almost a decade ago, where I'm like, no. Like I'm going to really pay attention to what day is the money coming in, what are the due dates for all the expenses, so the money going out, and which pay period is going to handle which bills. And if there was a bill big enough like the mortgage or the rent that needed to be split, how am I going to split that up and account for that as well? But yeah, monthly budgeting just didn't serve me well. I didn't like it. Came up with a new method. It really, it just makes the most sense. Companies operate based off of when income's coming in and when expenses are due. They're not worried about just the month of April or May or June. So why not do the same thing? Let's just model ourselves a little bit in that way. Let's track when the income's coming in. Let's track when those expenses are due. And let's align those two things, not just to the month, but to the actual 14-day cycle. Absolutely.
And, and I'll just share, Nino, the way I personally do it, and I don't have my planner. If you guys have listened to this podcast, I've shown my actual budget here with, my planner before. So if you've seen it on YouTube, but I'm a pen and paper kind of girl, so I like to write everything down. And I use a regular planner because that's what works for me. But in my planner, I have at the start, because planners are put together by months, right? And I have just in my July monthly planner, I've got a little note that just says rollover. And this is the amount that I'm rolling over from July to August to take care of the next payments. And so I just put it in as my rollover balance, because that's what's rolling over. It paid the last week or whatever of bills, right? And I said I get paid on the 10th and the 25th of each month. And so I know that the money that I'm rolling over from July into August, I know that carries me through until the 10th again, until I get paid. And that's how I put it. I just make a notation, rollover balances, so forth. And I color code everything. So again, if you guys have listened, I color code everything. So I know that rollover balance, right, that's the bills that money is responsible for taking care of until the 10th. And so I think it's important, that whether you use an app or whether you write it down on paper or you use a spreadsheet, however you do it, if you're just looking at when do I get paid, what are the bills within this pay period, right? When is the next time that I get paid? So really looking ahead to determine how do I want to use these dollars the best way possible until my next paycheck. And you can do that no matter what app or what tracking tool or what budgeting tool that you use. You can do it if you just break it down very simply. When do I get paid? What do I want those dollars to do? What's their job? And when do I get paid again?
Yep. I too have, it's even in the New Money Habits budget worksheet, where you have like the surplus or the deficit from the prior pay period, right? So after you've even scheduled any additional debt payments or whatever, there's always going to be, maybe there won't always be. Some people will tell you that you should have spent every dollar that you have, or a plan for every single dollar. But if you have $100 left over, carrying that over to the next pay period to help you to make, whatever bills are coming due. And that's the same thing with like the rent or the mortgage, right? Mm-hmm. If you're actually splitting those up over 2 pay periods, then it is like let's say your mortgage is $1,400 a month, and you're like, in pay period 1, I need to hold $700 that I'm going to pair with another $700 with the second pay period in order to then make the mortgage payment. So, yeah.
I love that. And I had some clients that got paid weekly, right? And with getting paid weekly every Friday, what they did is they transferred $500 from every paycheck on Friday into another account they called their mortgage account. And so every Friday they transferred $500. Their mortgage was just over $1,800. So they transferred $500 every single Friday, every pay period, right, into their separate mortgage account. And that ensured that their mortgage was paid on time no matter when they received paycheck. They weren't pulling that full $1,800 out of one paycheck, right? They split it up. And that's just another way of looking, okay, what do I want these dollars to do, right? I know that I don't want to have a full mortgage payment, $1,800 taken out of one paycheck. So how can I break this up, because it makes my budget work a little bit easier for me and it's a little bit less stressful. And so to your point, pulling the mortgage out in 2 payments or 4. It just is a matter of looking at when are your pay periods, how do you want to use those dollars, and when do you get paid again?
Yeah. Yeah. As you were talking about being paid weekly, it just reminds me too of like why budgeting based off of your pay periods is just a better plan than for the month, because it's simple enough when your rent is due once a month, your cell phone payments due once a month, your car insurance is due once a month. But some of these other expenses that we have, like going to the grocery store, it doesn't happen just once a month. So being able to plan and split that expense up over each pay period and basically saying, for the next 7 days, I have X number of dollars to spend, or for the next 14 days, I have X number of dollars to spend. For categories like groceries, like gasoline, heck, even spending cash, right? Giving yourself some play money to go out and spend however you want, instead of giving yourself one lump sum sometime during the month, which then could also just be blown right away. To be able to say, every 14 days, I get $100 to go and spend how I want, guilt-free, or I get $25 every week, or whatever the number is at whatever frequency. It really helps to manage all of these non-monthly expenses. I think about other things that we do monthly, or maybe not every month. I'm a guy, so that means there's money in the budget for going to the barber. And I try to only go once a month, but sometimes you go more frequently, sometimes you go less frequently. But the idea that I can split these, that's a cash category for me. So taking cash out of the bank every 14 days and kind of putting it in the barber's envelope. And when I have enough money to go get a cut, I go get a cut. And when I don't, I wait. And so it's just a nice way to manage some of these other expenses that we have. Mm-hmm.
I would agree. And we do kind of the same thing with our cash envelopes. I pull out and fill. So whatever I budget for, I kind of split it in half, right? So and when I say budget for the month, it is based on my pay periods, right? So my month is not the 1st through the 30th. My month is from the 10th to the 9th of the following month, right? And so we split our cash envelopes. What is the total for that entire period of time, and split it in 2. So I pull half out on the 10th and half out on the 25th, because it helps our budget work better, right? Specifically for eating out. If we pulled the full amount, of our eating out and restaurant budget on the 10th, I'm going to guarantee you it would be gone probably by the 15th. This way, it helps us stay more accountable, right? And more on track, and not spend all those dollars at once. It just helps us to, like you said, spread it out a little bit, right? And once the money's gone in that category, then it's gone, and we wait until payday again, until it's cash envelope filling day. But it's what works for us, right? To spread it out over a couple of pay periods versus just pulling it all out in one.
That's right. All right. So, we talked at the top about kind of keeping this simple. And I think, we've done a good job of just highlighting that there is a better way to build a budget. And instead of building it just for the month, that you can really build it around your pay periods. And as I offered, there's a free budget worksheet that New Money Habits offers on our website, newmoneyhabits.com. What I want to leave our listeners with is this idea. The best budget in the world is the one that works for you. We're really big about meeting our clients where they are. And if a monthly budget works for you, that's great. But if you've found that it's not working for you, you're struggling with it, it doesn't cover everything that you want it to cover the way you want it to cover it, then look for something new, look to do something in a different way. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So do something different. Visit the website, download our budget template, or our budget worksheet, excuse me, and give that a go. And if you need help budgeting, just know that you can always schedule time with Sarah or myself by visiting the show notes. We both have links to our calendars there, and schedule some time with a financial coach, and we'll help you to build a plan that is customized to you and your goals. It's easy to follow, and it just so happens that it implements this idea of budgeting according to your pay period instead of just the month.
I love it. I love it. Thanks, Nino. I think it's a good reminder, even though I do this, but sometimes I think I can make it a little bit too complicated. So thank you for the reminder that this is really a very simple concept. Just look at it a little bit differently than what I did before. So
yeah, it's not rocket science. It is pretty simple. It's just a different way of doing things. And so we wanted to share a couple of examples of how that looks, and, to kind of tickle the intellect and see if it kind of resonated with somebody like, wait a minute, I've never thought about doing it that way. That sounds like that would make more sense. We happen to think it makes more sense. So go and check that out. Visit newmoneyhabits.com. And thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll continue the conversation next time.
Thank you for listening to the New Money Habits podcast, brought to you by New Money Habits and Keeping Up with the Joneses Financial Coaching. Submit your questions to our host by emailing podcast@newmoneyhabits.com. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of future episodes. Join our growing group of like-minded people on Facebook and follow us on your favorite platform. Music provided by Summer School.